December 28th, 2023. La Isabela International Airport, Dominican Republic. A Cessna 402 was heading to Cabo Rojo when the crew discovered a problem with the nose landing gear. They returned to La Isabela, where emergency crews were already waiting. The airplane touched down on runway 1, but the nose gear collapsed during the landing roll. All 7 people on board were safe, and the aircraft received only minor damage. The operator confirmed a mechanical failure. However, the exact technical cause of the landing gear problem was not publicly established. January 3rd, 2022. Maiwan District, Kandahar Province, Afghanistan. An MD-530F military helicopter crashed and was destroyed. 2 pilots were on board. Both survived with injuries, but one of them was reported to be in critical condition. Taliban defense officials blamed a technical problem. However, no independent investigation confirmed the exact cause of the crash. August 15th, 2026. Old Warden Aerodrome, Bedfordshire, England. During the Flying Proms Air Show, the Shuttleworth Collection's de Havilland DH-88 Comet returned to the grass runway after its display. The aircraft continued along the runway, but then its tail began to rise. Seconds later, it pitched forward, striking the ground with its nose and propellers, before coming to rest upside down. The pilot was the only person on board. Emergency crews removed him from the aircraft, and the Shuttleworth Trust later confirmed that he had been discharged from hospital. The exact cause has not yet been officially determined.
You'll notice that she's sort of prehistoric in appearance. You can imagine some sort of primeval insect flying around the sky. She is painted all black to camouflage. Without any navigational aids other.
January 8th, 2022. Silvio Pettirossi International Airport in Asunción, Paraguay. A Cessna 210 was flying to Carmelo Peralta when the pilot tried to lower the landing gear, but the nose wheel did not come down. The pilot decided to return to Asunción, where the airport prepared for an emergency landing. The aircraft touched down, then veered off the runway. Everyone on board escaped without injury. The confirmed problem involved the nose landing gear. However, no public investigation explained exactly why it failed to extend. January 9th, 2022, near Whiteman Airport in Los Angeles, California. A Cessna 172 had just taken off when its engine lost all power, only about 200 feet above the ground. The pilot declared an emergency and began a descending right turn, but the airplane struck the ground and stopped across an active railroad track. The pilot was seriously injured and trapped inside. Police officers pulled him from the wreckage just seconds before a passenger train struck the airplane. The NTSB found water contamination in the fuel system. Worn fuel cap seals had allowed rainwater into the tanks, and the pilot's pre-flight inspection did not remove all of it. When the contaminated fuel reached the engine, it caused a total loss of power.
Hey! You okay, man? Get up.
August 9th, 2026. Pennewitz Airfield in Thuringia, Germany. An FK-9 Mark III ultralight was returning to its home airfield, with its left landing gear missing. According to the airplane back onto the runway during takeoff, and the impact tore away the left wheel and landing gear leg. He continued flying and warned emergency crews before returning to Pennewitz. The pilot landed on the remaining wheel, kept the damaged side above the grass for as long as possible, and allowed the airplane to settle gently onto its left side. He and his passenger both escaped without injury. The sequence was described by the pilot, but no independent investigation has confirmed whether any other factors contributed. December 17th, 2011. Moorabbin Airport in Victoria, Australia. At 3:04 in the afternoon, a Cessna 172 carrying a student and an instructor was told to hold short of runway 13 right. The instruction was read back correctly, but the airplane did not stop and entered the runway. At that same moment, another Cessna 172 had just touched down. Its pilot saw the airplane crossing ahead, immediately applied full power, and went around, passing directly over it. All 4 people were unharmed, and neither airplane was damaged. The instructor later told the ATSB that he had been distracted by a discussion with the student and did not notice that they had crossed the marked holding point. June 25th, 2021. About 2 kilometers west of Tuga Airport in the Netherlands, a Cessna 208 Bravo, carrying a pilot and 17 skydivers, had just taken off, when its engine suddenly lost all power at about 400 feet. The pilot put the airplane down in a field beside the A50 motorway. During the landing, the right wing struck an advertising sign, turning the aircraft around before it stopped near the roadside barrier. 1 skydiver received a minor injury, and the airplane was substantially damaged. Investigators traced the failure to maintenance performed shortly before the flight. A magnetic sensor inside the propeller governor was installed incorrectly, and the required final voltage test was not completed. The sensor contacted a rotating gear and produced metal debris, restricting movement inside the governor. The propeller then moved toward the feathered position, increasing the load until the engine lost power and stopped.
Thanks for saving our life.
August 18th, 2026. Akron-Canton Airport in Ohio. At around 12:53 in the afternoon, a NetJets Cessna Citation Longitude was arriving from Washington Dulles, when its nose landing gear failed to extend. The jet touched down on its main landing gear, and the pilots held the nose above the runway for several seconds. As the aircraft slowed, the nose settled onto the pavement, and the jet slid to a stop. Only the 2 pilots were on board, with no passengers. Both exited without injury. The nose and lower fuselage were damaged. The exact reason the nose landing gear remained retracted has not yet been officially determined. October 22nd, 1987. The Northern Persian Gulf, beside the combat storage ship USNS Spica. A U.S. Navy HH-46 Alpha Sea Knight was transferring cargo between Spica and the aircraft carrier USS Ranger. While the helicopter was hovering beside Spica's small aft flight deck, one engine suddenly failed. The pilot moved away from the ship and made a controlled landing on the water. The crew tried to restart the failed engine and lift off using the remaining one, but the helicopter could not get airborne. After the rotors stopped, the Sea Knight rolled onto its side and slowly sank. Everyone on board escaped and was rescued by a second Navy helicopter. One participant later recalled that a crew member suffered only a bruised knee. The exact technical reason for the engine failure was not made public. April 11th, 1989, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. A Sikorsky S-58 was lifting a heavy air conditioning unit during an external load operation. Just after picking up the load, the helicopter suddenly lost tail rotor control and began spinning uncontrollably to the right. The pilot released the load into a clear area, moved away from nearby obstacles, and entered a hovering auto-rotation. The helicopter came down on sloping ground and rolled onto its side. The pilot survived but suffered serious injuries. The NTSB confirmed the cause. The tail rotor drive shaft coupling had disconnected. September 16th, 2007. Reno Stead Airport in Nevada. John Penny had just won the unlimited gold race in the heavily modified Rare Bear, averaging more than 478 miles per hour. After the finish, the throttle became stuck partly open, leaving the engine at too much power for a safe landing. Penny climbed to about 10,000 feet and circled the airport while burning off fuel. Once the runway was clear, he shut down the engine using the ignition and mixture controls, then lined up with runway 22 for a dead stick landing. Rare Bear touched down safely without engine power. Penny was unhurt, and the aircraft was not damaged.
You don't get a better pilot than John Penny or our safety pilot, Steve Hinton. They've both been in these situations before. They know what to do. Watch Rare Bear sink. When John pulls the power back, there is no wing to that airplane. Watch the sink rate when John does that. He's got the gear down, which is a good sign. It's extra strong landing gear. It's off the Corsair. He's got the runway made. Okay. What a beautiful approach. If you believe, folks, now's the time to put John in your prayers.
Man, that was a grease job.
You always make the best ones when you have them.
Holy Christmas. Whoa, how about that?
So everybody think you got your money's worth today?
February 17th, 2022. Near Al Ruwaymia in Syria's Latakia province. A Syrian military Mi-14 was carrying out a training flight over the coastal region. The helicopter began spinning around its vertical axis, then descended onto a rugged hillside. It struck the ground, and a fire broke out moments later. 2 crew members were killed, while the other 3 survived. The Syrian military reported a technical malfunction, but no investigation confirmed a tail rotor failure. The exact technical cause remains unknown. February 22nd, 2022, near Snowbird Ski Resort in Utah. 2 Utah National Guard UH-60 Blackhawks were practicing winter mountain landings in Mineral Basin. The trailing helicopter disappeared into a cloud of powder snow. The pilot lost sight of the ground, and the aircraft drifted right, touched down, and rolled onto its side. Its main rotor broke apart, and a blade fragment struck the tail rotor of the lead helicopter. That Blackhawk spun through a full turn, but its pilot managed to land it safely. All 8 crew members escaped without injury, and no skiers were hurt. Both helicopters were badly damaged. Investigators blamed human error after the trailing pilot lost his position in the whiteout.
I know. Too much upflow. I do too, man. Did both of them? No, just one of them crashed.
Oh my God.
Holy crap.
March 2nd, 2022. Aviano Air Base in Italy. A U.S. Air Force F-16 was taking off for an armed patrol in support of NATO air policing. During the takeoff roll, the left main wheel separated from the landing gear and remained on the runway. A low pass confirmed that the wheel was completely gone, so the pilot prepared for a landing with all the gear retracted. More than 2 hours after takeoff, the F-16 touched down on its belly and slid to a stop. The pilot climbed out safely, with no injuries. The aircraft suffered about $6.1 million in damage. The Air Force investigation found that a wheel bearing had failed, creating enough heat and friction for the wheel to separate.
I can't believe he's doing this.
July 23rd, 2026, Shallow Bay at Susha Island, Washington. Kenmore Air Flight 140, a DHC-3 Otter float plane, was flying from Seattle to Roche Harbor with 1 pilot and 10 passengers. Bad weather blocked the route, so the pilot turned back towards Susha Island, planning to land and wait for conditions to improve. During the water landing, the aircraft descended with its nose high. Just above the surface, the left wing dropped, and the wingtip and left float struck the water. The plane continued forward, hit rocks along the shore, and caught fire after everyone escaped. All 11 people survived. The NTSB listed 2 serious injuries and 8 minor injuries. The aircraft was destroyed, and the investigation has not confirmed weather as the cause.
What? That was my phone.
March 29th, 2022. Jose Maria Cordova Airport, near Medellin, Colombia. LATAM Flight 4292, an Airbus A320, had just taken off for Cartagena when the crew received a nose wheel steering fault. The pilots returned to Medellin and circled the airport to burn fuel. During the landing, they kept the nose raised for as long as possible. But the front wheels were locked about 90 degrees sideways when they touched the runway. The tires were destroyed by friction, sending smoke and sparks from beneath the nose, while the aircraft continued along the runway. The Airbus stopped safely, and no one was injured. The preliminary investigation identified a failure in the nose wheel steering system, but the exact component that failed was not established. April 21st, 2022. Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas, Nevada. A Cessna 182 was waiting near the runway while a large jet took off ahead of it. The tower then cleared the Cessna to line up and wait. As the pilot began taxiing onto the runway, a powerful burst of jet wash struck the airplane. The right wing lifted, the nose dropped, and the Cessna flipped over, coming to rest upside down. The pilot and passenger were not injured, but the aircraft was substantially damaged. The NTSB found no mechanical problems and determined that the pilot had not kept enough distance from the departing jet's exhaust.
With 471, follow Delta ahead, cross runway 19 right, taxi runway 19 right.
Follow Delta, cross 19 right, taxi 19 right, southwest.
September 24th, 2018. A farm field about 5 nautical miles southwest of Hoedspruit Airfield in South Africa. A Bantam B-22J was on a training flight with a pilot and student on board. About 10 minutes after takeoff, at roughly 2,000 feet above sea level, the pilot heard a loud bang from the engine. It began running rough, then stopped completely. The pilot selected an open field and made a forced landing without power. The wheels dug into the soft, cultivated soil, and the aircraft flipped forward, coming to rest almost vertically, with its tail pointing up. The pilot and student climbed out without injuries, but the aircraft was substantially damaged. Investigators found that an exhaust valve in the number 4 cylinder had broken, causing the engine to lose compression and stop. The reason the valve failed could not be determined.
Okay, just stay where you are.
Date unknown. Location believed to be Australia. Peter Bulldog Davenport was practicing alone in a single-seat Skycraft Scout Ultralight. The uploader says Davenport had been teaching himself to fly. About 15 minutes into his first practice session, he decided to climb to around 100 meters. Soon after takeoff, the aircraft banked to the right and crashed. Davenport survived, but reliable information about his injuries is not available. The ultralight was badly damaged, and no official investigation report connected to this footage has been found. The cause remains unknown.
In this